of their own career, which is good in one way, but in another way can limit them athletically. Because boxing is not a comfort business.
But the fact that Ryan, has gone through 3 top trainers that would have done a great job, Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goossen, and Derek James.
The fight is days away. The camps are locked in, and then Max Kellerman opens his mouth. That line, right there, that's not analysis, that's a verdict. And if you think that's just a throwaway line from a talking head, wait until you hear what he says next about Ryan Garcia's trainer situation. Because this isn't just about one fight. This is about a pattern, a repeating, career-defining pattern that everybody's been tiptoeing around. There it is, said out loud, on camera, no filter. But here's what nobody is connecting. Ryan Garcia showed up to his 14-day weigh-in at 154 pounds, looking like a fully rebuilt welterweight. His dad is calling this camp a work of art, and Max Kellerman is sitting there saying the whole thing might be a beautiful disaster waiting to happen.
If you want to come to me, it's going to be under my rules. And if that didn't work, then Ryan's back. So that's I give that big advantage to Barrios to even pull that off.
See, that's the thing about boxing, and Big Baby Miller pointed it out, because there's no structure.
So who's right? Let's get into it. When Max Kellerman goes off on a fight, you pay attention. Not because he's always right, but because he's usually saying the thing that everyone else in the room is carefully dancing around. And with Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios, Kellerman didn't dance. He walked straight to the center of the floor and said what a lot of insiders have been whispering about for years. Max Kellerman argues that Ryan Garcia is genuinely gifted with electrifying speed, power, charisma, and the kind of star quality that makes him must-watch television. He makes it clear that Garcia's natural talent is real and even frightening. However, Kellerman warns that raw ability alone won't be enough against Mario Barrios. The real issue, he says, lies in Garcia's lack of structure and discipline. Ultimately, Kellerman believes Garcia must accept guidance and accountability to truly succeed at the highest level.
That's the thing in boxing, when fighters want it comfortable, right? Sometimes when Miguel Cotto would want to train in certain places because it was more comfortable for him, I thought, I want to see the Miguel Cotto when it's uncomfortable, right? And Cotto's a great fighter, of course, and a serious person. But the fighter really has a little too much control when they reach a certain level sometimes of their own career, which is good in one way, but in another way can limit them athletically. Because boxing is not a comfort business.
Max Kellerman says the issue goes beyond Ryan Garcia, pointing to how fame can erode accountability around superstar athletes. When fighters become brands, camps can turn into comfort zones instead of disciplined environments. He compares it to Russell Wilson's time with the Denver Broncos, where a lack of structure led to dysfunction. Only when Sean Payton restored authority did things begin to change. Kellerman's message is clear. Without strong leadership and accountability, even elite talent can fall apart.
I did it out because there's no structure. But we need some kind of structure. In the NFL, the guy has to sit there for the media interview. He shows up on time. He's got to do it. And to give you an NFL analogy, think about the Broncos, right? When they had Russell Wilson over there and he had his own office and everything. And it was nothing, it was dysfunctional. Then they hired Sean Payton.
Cut it out.
As a coach, that's like going to train with Goossen or going to train with a world-class trainer, right? And you knew as soon as Sean Payton got there, ain't no one's going to have their own office. And you turn around a couple years later, and they're great. They're in the playoffs. Right?
Now replace Russell Wilson with Ryan Garcia. Replace Sean Payton with Joe Goossen, or Derek James, or Eddie Reynoso. Kellerman is essentially saying, every time Ryan got a Sean Payton, he eventually fired him. And now he's back in Denver with his own office. The revolving door of trainers around Ryan Garcia highlights a deeper concern about his career direction. He worked with Eddie Reynoso, the architect behind Canelo Alvarez's dominance, Joe Goossen, a respected no-nonsense tactician, and Derek James, a detail-oriented championship-level coach. Each brought a different elite philosophy and proven pedigree capable of shaping a generational talent. Yet Garcia failed to remain with any of them. The pattern raises questions not about coaching quality, but about Garcia's willingness to commit to structure and long-term development.
The fact that Ryan, has gone through 3 top trainers that would have done a great job, Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goossen, and Derek James.
Correct.
And he's not training with neither of them. He's training with his dad, which I'm not saying the dad is not, the dad brought him through the amateurs, but when he left his dad or went to seek a different trainer. Before he came back to that, he went through 3 different trainers.
Wow.
Now here's where it gets complicated, not because training with your dad isn't automatically a red flag. Henry Garcia clearly loves his son, he's invested, he's emotionally locked in, and if you listen to Henry talk about this camp, there's a sincerity there that's undeniable.
And then we took a little break, but Ryan, went to go, eat and whatever. We come back to the gym, 33 rounds of boxing, 33. Then you think it's over? Mm-mm. He goes back home where his camp house is. I didn't go there. And he starts running 5 miles after that. And then he sprints up a hill. Tell me, that would just blow people away.
33 rounds, then 5 miles, then hill sprints. You cannot fake that workload. You cannot manufacture that grind for a press conference. If Henry is telling the truth, and nothing suggests he isn't, then Ryan Garcia has been absolutely destroying himself in this camp. That's old school savage preparation. But here's Kellerman's counterpoint, and Robert Garcia actually echoes it from a completely different direction.
At the end, there's nothing a trainer could do if the fighter doesn't respond, if the fighter doesn't listen, if the fighter doesn't do it. And most of the times, when fighters are that big, like Ryan is, they're the bosses. They call the shots, and the trainers, everybody around them are just the yes men, and that's a problem. That's a problem, and we can't fix that with nobody. You could be the best trainer in the world, but if you got a boss, as a fighter, then and you're a yes man, there's nothing you could do. Ain't nobody gonna fit.
Robert Garcia isn't talking about Henry specifically. He's talking about a structural reality in elite boxing. When the fighter becomes the brand, when the fighter is the economic engine of the entire operation, the power dynamic flips completely. And once that flip happens, it almost never reverses without a crisis forcing it. The question hanging over this entire camp is a simple one. In those 33 rounds, who was correcting Ryan's habits? Who was stopping the session to say, no, do it again, do it right? A loving father or a hard-nosed trainer who doesn't care about hurting feelings? Now here's the layer that Kellerman and the analysts are really getting animated about, because there's a wrinkle in this fight that goes beyond just styles and records. Joe Goossen, the trainer Ryan Garcia just parted ways with, is now in Mario Barrios' corner. The man who trained Ryan Garcia, who saw his habits up close, who watched him spar, who knows his tendencies, his triggers, his defensive gaps, is now sitting on the opposite side of the ring, whispering in Mario Barrios' ear between rounds.
So you think it's better for you that he's working with a trainer you're familiar with than...
Oh, yeah, in my eyes, But, hey, because I know I've already said some stuff that guy's already told him. But again, like he said, boxing is one-on-one. At the end of the day, he's a free thinker, I'm a free thinker.
Ryan said, Joe's not going to stop this fight. It's going to be a physical fight, a bloody fight. You're smiling when you're hearing that. Is that the kind of fight you want?
Not necessarily that it's the fight I want, but it's never a fight that I shy away from. I've gone out of my shield before. Like I said, every time I step in there, I give it, whatever I have that day. And if that's the way like this fight goes, if it ends in a bloody battle, then it does. And I've never shied away from that.
I respect that. I honestly do. I do see that in him. He definitely gives everything he got in that ring. And
That's Barrios himself acknowledging it. Casually, confidently, almost like he's enjoying the irony. He's saying, I know what Goossen told Ryan, because Goossen already told me. Now Henry Garcia publicly brushed off the Goossen angle.
And nothing Mario has, or nothing that Joe can give him, that's gonna phase my son. I'm telling you, you're gonna see it, okay? My son is not here to play. He takes pride in what he's doing, and he knows this is his title shot, the WBC, and it means a lot to him on this one because he's here. He's already has it in here, and he's got it in his heart. So when you have that, like I said, mind, body, and soul, 100%, it's positive results. Positive.
And look, there's a version of that argument that holds up. Boxing is ultimately one-on-one. Gym knowledge only goes so far when the punches start landing, but Tim Bradley's breakdown adds real tactical weight to why the Goossen connection matters. Because Barrios isn't just going to show up and wing it, he's going to surgically target specific patterns.
he swells. He swells quickly, man. Yeah, he gets damaged really easily. You touch him, he starts to bruise up immediately, starts to swell up immediately. So I think Ryan having those heavy hands, I think that can be an issue in the fight as well. Those eyes will start swelling, that nose will start swelling up. I've seen, eyes and nose swell up on Barrios, man, and he looked like, real bad, the Elephant Man, after fight. So I think that's something that we got to take into consideration as well. I think, again, let's go back to the trainer. I think it's going to favor Barrios, the fact that he knows that his trainer knows Garcia. It's going to favor him. He's going to know, the approach, on how to get to Ryan Garcia. He's seen him in sparring.
Body shots, swelling, sustained pressure in the middle rounds. These aren't abstract concerns. These are documented, film-proven vulnerabilities. And Joe Goossen didn't just watch film on Ryan Garcia. He coached him. That's a different level of intelligence. But before we hand this fight to Barrios on a silver platter, let's pump the brakes. Because there's another story happening in parallel, and it's one that even the skeptics are having trouble dismissing. Ryan Garcia showed up to the 14-day weigh-in at 154.2 pounds, and he did not look depleted. He did not look like a man who'd been starving himself down from a bigger weight. He looked filled out, physically matured, like someone who had spent serious time in the strength room, not just the speed bag.
Why would I look like this? If I'm really that messed up mentally, right, like people are claiming, I wouldn't look like this.
Yeah, he sets traps, and he's got ridiculous one-punch knockout power, too. He's just such an interesting fighter because his style is so different from everybody else. He's so conservative in the early rounds, throws so few punches, and he lets you work. He lets you work, and you're backing up, and you're always afraid of that power, and he's just moving in, trying to find that opening where he just gets in there on you.
That's Ryan speaking directly to every critic, every doubter, every person who spent the last year writing him off as a circus act, and honestly, the visual evidence backs him up. This isn't the lean, Instagram-ready, lightweight frame that people got used to seeing on social media. This is a different body, a bigger, denser, more physically credible body. And that raises the million-dollar question that Kellerman himself leaves hanging. What does this transformed physique actually mean inside a 147-pound fight?
If I'm not in shape like this, look at this. If I was that bad mentally, why do I look like this? Think with your brain.
When a speed-based fighter adds visible muscle mass, the conversation immediately splits into two camps. Camp 1 says, more power, more punch resistance, more durability in the championship rounds. Camp 2 says, slower feet, reduced explosiveness, diminished stamina if the fight goes deep. Barrios, for his part, seems to be sitting squarely in Camp 2. He's not rattled by the physique, he's preparing for it.
When Ryan faces adversity, he doesn't make the necessary adjustments, and that's what with this fight, I'm looking forward, or I'm looking to go in there and exploit all of his weaknesses, and that's definitely one of the ones where I'm gonna try to take advantage of. I want to make him uncomfortable. I want to test his heart. I want to really just test how bad he really wants to be in there.
That's championship composure. No theatrics, no trash talk designed to go viral. Just a clinical, precise identification of a tactical target. And if Kellerman's analysis is correct, if Ryan's structure is still soft underneath all that muscle, then Barrios testing that heart might be the moment the entire narrative turns. You cannot talk about Ryan Garcia's mental state heading into this fight without addressing the ghost that's been following him since that night against Devin Haney. Because Ryan Garcia, whether he admits it or not, carries the weight of an unfinished knockout.
I should have knocked him. I just didn't have the conditioning.
I think it still bothers you, huh?
Yes, because I should have knocked him out in that 11th, man. I was playing around too much. Yeah. And I was like, ha ha, like, bro. But next time, that next time, buddy.
There we go again.
You won't have a next time. I'm finishing you. You will never box again if we fight again, and you know that. And I bow to that. If we fight again, you will never box again. I promise you that.
Gee, this is what I'm saying, bro. We need this fight. I I've said it so many times. We need this fight.
The lingering regret from not finishing a hurt opponent can either motivate a fighter or weigh heavily on them. Wade argues that Ryan Garcia historically rises when doubted, citing strong performances against Luke Campbell, Oscar Duarte, and Devin Haney. Each time critics questioned him, he responded with focus and urgency. Now, with widespread skepticism surrounding his trainer situation and mindset, Garcia once again faces a doubting public. If that pattern holds, this adversity could bring out his best.
For sure.
I mean, it's right up there with everybody, all the great left hookers of the past.
But the crazy thing is, like, bro, he don't even bring it out. He just goes from right here.
Right there.
Ha!
Whip. Like a whip.
Just, guys.
It has so much power from short distance. Just nothing. Just turns it over.
Yeah.
And he can hit you with multiple ones in a row.
That left hook, that's the weapon everyone is circling. Tim Bradley called it specifically the 45 combination, the half hook, half uppercut hybrid that Ryan has spent months drilling. A shot that Barrios, as a counterpuncher who likes to work at mid-range, is going to see coming from a very specific angle. But knowing it's coming and stopping it, those are two very different things. So let's bring it all home, because when you strip away the physique photos, the training footage, the trainer drama, the Goossen intel, and the press conference theater, Kellerman's core argument comes down to one fundamental question. Is Ryan Garcia coachable? Not talented, not powerful, not marketable, coachable.
Like everyone thought he was gonna win that fight, and Rolly just outboxed him. Rolly outboxed him and looked good doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. I wish that Ryan, because he's so talented, I wish he would stick to a coach and really just follow the instructions.
That's not Kellerman saying Ryan can't fight. That's Kellerman saying the ceiling Ryan is operating at right now might be artificially lower than his God-given talent deserves. And the tragedy of that, if it's true, is enormous. Because the fully hydrated, fully unleashed, fully structured version of Ryan Garcia that we occasionally catch glimpses of?
Because I would love to see Ryan Garcia, the one that we saw fully hydrated against Devin Haney, against Gervonta.
Oh, he's a problem. He's going to be a problem.
For everybody.
He's going to be a problem, bro.
Speed is bananas.
Yeah.
You ever seen him shadow box, like throw combinations?
Oh, yeah, bro.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Is this sped up?
Oh,
How are you so fast?
Yeah. It's not fair.
He might have one of the fastest left hooks I've ever seen.
That version is genuinely terrifying. That version has no ceiling. That version of Ryan Garcia, focused, structured, emotionally locked in, walks through Mario Barrios and walks through almost anyone else at 147 pounds. But is that the Ryan who shows up on fight night? That's the question Kellerman is refusing to answer with confidence. And honestly, can you blame him? Barrios, for his part, has already told us exactly how he views this moment.
I feel like, I'm going into this fight like, I have, everything to lose. I have the title. I know he's coming, with a lot to prove, but at the end of the day, I'm the champion. I'm looking to defend.
Max Kellerman sees the fight as a battle of mindsets, with Ryan Garcia chasing redemption while Mario Barrios defends his established identity. Barrios brings discipline and clarity, while Ryan is still trying to rebuild himself. Kellerman's concern isn't talent, but the gap between Garcia's potential and his habits. Until Ryan commits to structure and accountability, that gap will remain his biggest weakness. Mario Barrios comes in with strong preparation, strategy, and Joe Goossen's guidance aimed at testing Ryan Garcia under pressure. The issue isn't Ryan's physical readiness, but how he'll respond when adversity hits in the later rounds. The key question is who will guide him in those moments, and whether he'll listen. That uncertainty about structure and accountability is what Max Kellerman is really highlighting. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you riding with Ryan's redemption arc, or does Kellerman's warning hit different? Like, share, and subscribe to stay locked in. We'll see you fight night.